You know, there are not a lot of better places to be in order to understand the US's approach to cyber than inside the National Security Agency. So we thought we'd take you inside the National Security Agency right now. Rick spent a lot of time there as the agency's deputy director, and today we're pleased to welcome NSA Deputy Cybersecurity Director, Dave Luber. Gentlemen, I'm going to turn it over to you. Hopefully, Dave, we're running just a couple minutes late. Hopefully he didn't have a crisis he had to respond to. We'll get, there you are. Hi, Dave.
Hey, how you doing? Great to see you, Rick and Suzanne. Great to be here today.
I am going to welcome you to the Cyber Brief and politely duck out as I let you and Rick get into this important conversation. Thank you so much for being here.
Great to be here today.
Thanks for being here, Dave. I appreciate it. Let me start with an easy one for you. So we're really lucky to have you here shortly after NSA Cybersecurity Directorate's 1-year anniversary. So what are you most proud of?
Well, first off, Rick, really proud of the culture we have here at NSA. What we've done here over the past 18 months with the Cybersecurity Directorate is really building that culture and sense of speed and urgency to focus on cybersecurity at this critical moment in time. You know, as part of the DoD, NSA is a combat support agency, and likewise, we've tried to adapt that as part of our mantra here in the Cybersecurity Directorate to focus on how we support the U.S. government and national security systems. Our adversaries are constantly innovating, and we need to be able to adapt along with them. We also need an agile and aggressive workforce that moves at the speed of cyber so that we can outplay and outmaneuver those adversaries. The second thing I'd say that we're really proud of is the 31 and counting cybersecurity advisories we published over the past 18 months. And I'll highlight a couple of them for you, Rick. First, the Windows 10 issue that we've identified where there was a significant cryptographic vulnerability in that particular product. And that was shortly after the stand-up of the Cybersecurity Directorate. So that, you know, that vulnerability affected millions of users around the world. And as we discovered that vulnerability, we wanted to make sure that that got published and patched as quickly as possible. So not only did we coordinate that with the vendor, but also coordinated rapid patching for national security systems, Department of Defense, and Defense Industrial Base as well. Another area that I'll focus on is a publication that we put out in the fall, and that was on the Chinese state-sponsored CNE actors' use of common vulnerabilities, and it highlighted 25 common vulnerabilities that the Chinese like to use to gain initial access into victim networks. And you know we got some tremendous feedback on that particular advisory. Some of that feedback included, you know, thanks for highlighting the critical areas that we need to focus on. As you might imagine, defenders across the globe have a lot of different areas where they can spend their time. And when they have an advisory that highlights the 25 top things they need to look at to help keep the Chinese out of their system, that becomes a very valuable piece of material. We also published a product as a result of some of the SolarWinds activities that really focused on SAML abuse and how you could adjust and apply best practices in an environment so that you can minimize future abuse and manipulation of trust by a sophisticated actor.
Hey Dave, so can you expand SAML for those not in the know?
So that's the markup language used as part of the Microsoft O365, but it's a public standard.
Thanks.
So there's a wealth of other cybersecurity products that you can read on NSA.gov, and they are published there. And while our focus is to protect national security systems, the Department of Defense and the Defense Industrial Base, we know that these are valuable to everyone when it comes to helping protect and inform smart cybersecurity hygiene for the nation and beyond. Another area I'd like to talk about too that we're proud of is our focus on building the next generation of cyber experts. Rick, you probably remember the time when you were at NSA where we had some really great success, and we continue to have great success with the Centers of Academic Excellence in cybersecurity, both in cybersecurity research, cybersecurity defense, and computer network operations. We have over 300 universities that we're working with across the nation, and that really helps make sure that we have the next generation of cyber experts joining in both in the U.S. government and also industry as they receive that focused cybersecurity education work. Some of those schools also receive cyber core grants as part of the National Science Foundation work and OMB. And in that particular area, those students will join the U.S. government for 2 years of service because it's a scholarship for service grant. So we really love to see those students join in NSA and the rest of the U.S. government, whether it's DHS, FBI, or others, and really helps make sure that we have the next generation of cyber experts joining our workforce. And lastly, and we'll talk more about this, I'm really proud about the work that we've done over the last year between public-private sector partnerships. You know, cyber is the ultimate team sport, and you know, shared problems require really shared solutions. And I'd be happy to talk more about that as we go on.
Thanks, Dave. That's great. Sounds like a busy year. So you mentioned the Defense Industrial Base, or the DIB. What makes the DIB so concerning and such a priority for NSA?
Well, the Defense Industrial Base is really important to us. When you think about it, it's really hundreds of thousands of technology manufacturing service companies around the globe that design, develop, and produce Department of Defense critical systems, platforms, and technologies. And you know, the DIB is constantly targeted by our adversaries. You know, the adversaries like China, Russia, they want to steal that valuable intellectual property to give them a strategic advantage. And obviously, we want to work closely with the DIB to help make sure that we protect them and provide them guidance from a cybersecurity perspective. As you look at different DIB companies, and as they are storing that critical national security information, they are privately owned networks, and there's a wide range of different cyber defense postures. In some cases, there's excellent cyber defense. In other cases, it's non-existent. So really, we want to focus on where we can add value and bring the cybersecurity posture up for those companies, especially those that are in the non-existing category. We also want to make sure that we focus on how we get left of theft. No one wants to get that notice that says they've been compromised by a sophisticated adversary. So really, our focus is how do we do direct information sharing with the Defense Industrial Base, and working with the DoD CIO and other government partners. We want to make sure that we enhance that opportunity to have that analytical exchange between DIB companies and DIB service providers. And as we focus on that, there's a couple things we really want to accomplish. Obviously, the proactive tipping and bilateral information exchange is critically important. Also, providing direct cybersecurity assistance when authorized and when requested by a DIB partner. And then working with DIB cybersecurity providers to detect and counter nation state activity, as they are also seeing some of that activity from their vantage point in the private sector. And then jointly developing analytic techniques. That's another key area that we see in our analytic exchange between NSA and the Defense Industrial Base. So we've really started over the past couple of months really executing several of those lines of effort that I just mentioned. And we see this as really an important multifaceted approach between NSA and DIB partners to really get at some of these issues to help protect the Defense Industrial Base.
Thanks, Dave. And I took note of your left of theft phraseology there. We'll be using that again. Thanks for that.
Terrific.
So we've talked about public-private partnership, which as a natural transition to the topic of SolarWinds and the Microsoft Exchange vulnerabilities that also ties in with what you said about nation state exploitations. Can you talk a little bit about how NSA is looking at SolarWinds and MSE and what you're seeing, what you're doing about it?
Well, first off, I just mentioned that clearly sophisticated adversaries involved in the SolarWinds activity. I'm sure that you've had a number of folks talk about this already. And the partnership, the great partnership between public and private entities really highlights a new approach for us in the Cybersecurity Directorate at how to get at some of these more sophisticated threats. I can share with you that no intelligence discipline or single entity has perfect visibility into the behavior of these adversaries. And it's important for us to make sure that we share insights back and forth between the public-private sector so that we can gain additional understanding of how they're acting in the wild. Often also, I would offer that U.S. infrastructure and service providers are better positioned to see these adversaries, especially inside the U.S. And due to the nature of our foreign intelligence and cybersecurity missions, we have limited visibility inside the U.S. from an NSA perspective. So really successfully combating these adversaries is a collaborative effort, and between industry, intelligence, law enforcement, and other partners.
Okay, we're going to actually talk a little bit about the visibility issue later on today with former General Counsel Glenn Gerstel, who's put forward some interesting ideas in that space. So as you look forward, as you're sitting where you are now and looking at in your crystal ball, how are threats evolving?
Well, I'd say it's important to understand that most near-peer adversaries operate below the threshold of armed conflict. So they are more emboldened to use cyber capabilities as an option, operating below that level of armed conflict. So when you think of China, they've used a staggering degree of their cyber capabilities to steal intellectual property, to build their economy and their military. With real global ambitions. Russia has waged an information war, often using U.S. infrastructure and U.S. technologies to sow and amplify divisions in our society with the ultimate goal of eroding trust in democratic institutions. Iran is a volatile threat and has attacked the U.S. in the past and our allies either directly or via proxies. And meanwhile, North Korea uses cyber operations, notably stealing money and to fund their weapons development programs. So in the past decade, we've seen espionage and exploitation increasing cyber operations from our near-peer adversaries, and that's what I would offer for that.
Okay, and so given that, how do you prepare for these future challenges?
That's a great question. So you can't boil the ocean. You really have to focus on rigorous prioritization and putting our efforts against the greatest threats and working with the larger community to provide that unique force multiplier on a united effort. I used the effort or the term partnerships in the past, but really with each of our partners, we have a unique opportunity and a unique view on the problem and how to solve it. Our ability to work together helps us magnify our efforts and also partner on solutions together. And lastly, we also need to really continue to build trust. And that's what we're focusing on with our Cybersecurity Collaboration Center and working with both the defense industrial base and industry. So companies should really remember that government respects and values the contributions of industry and sees tremendous opportunities for current and future partnerships in this area. Within the Cybersecurity Directorate, we also have an organization that focuses on future standards, whether those standards are in the areas of 5G or post-quantum cryptography. That organization make sure that we're prepared for the rapidly changing and evolving technology landscape that we all see occurring across the globe on a daily basis. So we are investing in that particular area, and then also in the development and the evaluation of standards for security in software and hardware products.
Okay. You run an organization that claims to run the analytic part of the NDOC, the NSA Threat Operations Center. I think it's C1 is what you call it now. What's on their to-do list?
Well, what I would offer to you is that in a broad sense, threat intelligence is critically important to securing our nation. So having insights, whether it's from the public-private partnerships or having insights from an intelligence perspective, helps ensure that we drive the best focus towards securing national security systems, Department of Defense, and Defense Industrial Base.
Okay. And so, Dave, your previous job, before you came to be the deputy of CSD, was as the executive director of U.S. Cyber Command. Can you talk a little bit about the differences between those jobs and how the executive director position at Cybercom has helped you as you've come into CSD?
Well, first off, I had a great opportunity to work with General Nakasone as his executive director in the United States Cyber Command. And for 2 years, I had a chance to participate in his leadership team to focus on bringing United States Cyber Command to the forefront of supporting a number of different activities. Key differences, obviously, United States Cyber Command is a combatant command focused on supporting and defending the nation against cyber threats and ensuring that this force is ready from a military operations perspective. So I was very happy to help support General Nakasone in ensuring that force was ready and ensuring that there was great opportunities for Cyber Command also to have public-private partnerships. As an example, if you've heard about the Dreamport facility that Cyber Command runs, you can look them up on dreamport.tech, TECH, and you'll see all the different challenge problems that Cyber Command has posted for the private sector to collaborate on and to understand and support in the future and current development of U.S. Cyber Command.
So one thing about that I think is worth emphasizing, I know you know this, and I know this, but I think a lot of people don't, is that the only place that NSA and Cyber Command actually touch, in that the only person who's a member of both organizations is
General Nakasone.
That's right, General Nakasone. It's the point of the spear. That's the only place where they're actually the same organization. Other than that, they're separate organizations with different roles, different missions that work real closely together in this obviously hugely important task for the nation.
So Rick, I have one other thing I'd like to offer. I talked about Dreamport a little bit. I'd like to talk to you about our new NSA Cybersecurity Center, Cybersecurity Collaboration Center. And in that particular facility, that's a new area for us, and it plays an enormous role in allowing us to have outreach with industry, in particular the defense industrial base. And in working with the private sector at an unclassified level, it really helps us develop and identify advanced tradecraft and focus on how you eject those adversaries out of our defense industrial base systems and national security systems. So we're really excited about this new center. We cut the ribbon on that center on the 22nd of December last year, and the partnerships are continuing to grow, and really looking forward to seeing how that progresses as the year continues. But in the end, we definitely believe that trusted partnerships enable rapid response to secure our nation's sensitive networks. So the analytic exchange that we're having with defense industrial base partners has been rich, and it's been multifaceted, and it's been bidirectional. So we're really pleased with what we're seeing in the first few months of the Cybersecurity Collaboration Center, and more to come on that in future engagements.
Thanks, Dave. And how does, if there's someone in the audience who is a representative from a company that wants to contact them, how would they do that?
They could send an email to cybersecuritypartnerships@nsa.gov, and that would be a way to have direct linkage with our team on DIB partners and what we can do together in the future.
Okay, great. Suzanne, are you there?
I am here.
Want to give you a chance to ask any questions you might have had.
You just stole my question, which was, I know that, Mr. Luber talking about the Cybersecurity Collaboration Center is going to be very exciting for those who sort of didn't hear about this on the first rollout. And let's be honest, like any type of new campaign like this takes multiple times of letting people know that it's out there and educating the public on what's available. Rick, you asked a great question already of like how people can get involved if they're interested, and you offered, Mr. Luber, cybersecurity partnerships at nsa.gov as one way to outreach. I'd like to just explore for one more minute, if you don't mind, how that's going to work. It is sort of the onus on the private sector to come to the NSA with the best ideas that they feel like they have when it comes to better collaboration between this part of the government and the private sector, or is the onus on the NSA to reach out? Like, who's kind of driving this new center?
Well, what I would offer is our primary focus with the center is in the area of protecting national security systems, defense industrial base systems, those that have active contracts with the Department of Defense in the development of defense capabilities, and then also in the area of making sure that we focus on those defense industry service providers that are providing services to the defense. So I would offer that a prospective DIB partner could reach out via email and suggest some unique aspects of cybersecurity or analytic sharing that they would like to exchange or engage with NSA, and that would offer the door open to have additional conversations.
And then I'm just curious, because so many parts of the cybersecurity issue and problem are segmented within different parts of government and then in the private sector. Is there any kind of effort underway to share best practices of what comes out of this new collaboration center, maybe with your counterparts at CISA or another part of government where they'd be able to take those best practices and then share them with private sector?
Absolutely. We have really strong engagement with CISA and FBI, and we are actively sharing and transparent in our engagement in the new Cybersecurity Collaboration Center. So that's a really important topic that you brought up, and we look forward to continuing to develop those relationships.
Yeah, when I sort of play devil's advocate and speak more broadly about frustrations people have with cyber, I think it is that it's so segmented and there's not a lot of information sharing sometimes between the right groups of folks. So I really appreciate you taking that on. And we really appreciate you being here today as well and getting one quick message. We just wanted to repeat the email address. We have people calling in and asking about it. Is it in fact cybersecuritypartnerships@nsa.gov? Is that right?
It is cybersecuritypartnerships@nsa.gov. And you can also follow us on Twitter, and you can also look at nsa.gov for our cybersecurity advisories. You'll also be able to see some of those cybersecurity advisories have been published by multiple agencies. So we have dual sealed agency cybersecurity advisories out there where we've jointly worked to provide that cybersecurity guidance.
Yeah, it's been fascinating just to listen to two NSA insiders, Rick, of course, being former deputy over there, talk about some of these issues and how NSA is thinking about positioning itself, or how it is positioning itself for emerging threats and how you see things today. I really want to thank you for sharing all of that. Any closing thoughts for Rick and I as we move this cyber conversation forward?
Well, first off, it's been a pleasure to be here today, and appreciate the opportunity to present what we're doing here in the Cybersecurity Directorate. I'd offer that you should look forward to additional advisories coming out in the near future, and stay tuned for more success stories on our Cybersecurity Collaboration Center. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure to have you here.
Dave, thanks so much for being here. It's been great to catch up with you. It's been great to hear about the progress that you're making in the Cybersecurity Directorate. I have a special place in my heart for the technical talent there at NSA, and seeing it expressed this way for the public good is a really excellent thing in my view. So thanks for that.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks, Suzanne.
Thank you. Take care.
Sure.